Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We have with us Neelakanth ji, who is the founder of Jaljeevika. Neelakanth is also an Ashoka Fellow, and we've been working with Neelakanth for a while now. So the objective behind this session is to really, talk about Jaljeevika, the kind of livelihoods Jaljeevika is trying to enable, the need for credit. So it's going to be a fairly informal conversation, and I'm going to start off with some of the questions that I have, but feel free to jump in with your questions. Either you can leave a message on the chat, or you could, raise your hand and ask questions. Sukada will also help us facilitate this conversation. So it's a fairly informal conversation, and I hope we get some insights from Neelkant today.
Yeah, thank you, Ram, Smita, Sukda, yeah, for this opportunity, and very happy to see old friend Partha also here.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
yeah, so just for all of you, even I was very surprised to see Partha is one of the instrumental person who helped me to, foot our uh, in Maharashtra. We started working with the Livelihood Mission Maharashtra when Partha was here as a state lead. So still we are a very good friend. We collaborate several times. And when we started Aquafund, he also become one of the investor there. It was really very nice to see. Like,
Amazing.
yeah, so it shows like how he trust on the entire process.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, Neelkat, on that note, would love to hear your startup story. Why did you really start Jaljeevika in the first place? What was the motivation? I think that could be a great start to this conversation.
Okay. So yeah, then it goes to nearly 15 years back. I was part with the Oxfam India, and then we were doing a program in Bundelkhand region, Madhya Pradesh, Tikamgarh, Chhatarpur kind of district, which is supposed to be a very drought-prone area. And the program was to promote the fishery collective. So I was also very much surprised how to do it. But when we reached there, it was eye-opening for me. Even it is the drought area, completely drought-prone area, but there was like thousands of Chandela period tanks, very big tanks, and it was all fishing community. They do the harvesting, but the issue was they were not having the control. It was all controlled by middleman contractor. They were putting the resources and people were only the harvester. So I went through this entire program cycle of 3 4 years. By the end, we did successfully did the Madhya Pradesh fishery policy enacted, and that was the first inland fishery policy in India. Madhya Pradesh one, it came in 2007, where the fisherman was given the 100% entitlement over the water resources. But then the challenge came. Even after that, we thought, yeah, everything is now sorted. Situation remained same. And going deeper, we found like issue is extension, technology, advisory, all those services are not available, supply chain, market connects. So those were the larger issue rather than means along with the entitlements, which was not taken up. And so that was my point, like such a huge untapped resources are there in forms of water bodies. Let's do something. And post Oxfam, I tried working with the many other organizations, but yeah, most of livelihood focused NGO and organization were very comfortable working in the agri space. Fishery was really a big no for them. It was very risky for them. So yeah, there was no option. Then Jaljeevika has to be, it has to be built from scratch. So that's the storyline. And we got registered in 2013. Before that, we did some, um, our theory of change kind of model testing with the with few of the small organization in very difficult area like Malkangiri in Orissa, Palamu in Jharkhand. So we targeted all those difficult Naxal affected area, but very forest driven part, and where we found like 2 3 year of hand holding gives a very good leverage to livelihood potential. So after that, then the Partha, thankfully, we had a discussion with the Livelihood Mission Maharashtra, and we did the similar model in Bidar region, focused with the women and SHG members. So initially it was really very tough, but uh, over the now I see like even there are like more than 6,000, 7,000 women started doing the fishery. SHG started. They started taking entitlement rights from the using FRA Act, and a lot of other watershed program is also implementing now. Recently, so it was a big journey, 10 year in Maharashtra. We were focused totally on the fishery department, but later on now the tribal department has also came forward with a very good support system. Partha, you will be happy to know like tribal department has put 9 CR budget for fishery cooperative who are graduated to a value chain models, and giving the entire infrastructure fund 100% to those cooperative for developing the fish feed, commercialization activity. And now the new MD is the same Lina Bansod. So she has gone through this process, very active in that part. And we are in discussion with travel department developing a very huge program like 50 CR program for entire cluster in Maharashtra. So that's coming up. It's beyond now fishery department. Recently, Manav Vikas, which is another department in Maharashtra, who provide uh, financial resources for the collectives to develop their infrastructure. Uh, Manav Vikas has also allocated 1 CR per block, and lot of their money is coming for the fishery-based activity. So lot of resources we could pull from the department, but these are all institutional resources. Apart from that, the challenges with the retailers, the individual, the bridge funding is another challenge which we couldn't tap, and where the we see Rangde kind of partnership, aquafund becomes a very good bridge.
Sure, thank you so much for that, Neelakanth. So, when you were talking about your story, you also touched upon the aspect of risk. Uh,
Yes,
can you help us understand, because aquaculture is a relatively new
exactly.
concept for all of us, especially in urban areas. And until we started working with you, we didn't know what a big livelihood source it is. So,
Hmm.
can you please walk us through the role of Jaljeevika? How do you mitigate these risks? And what kind of handholding and support is available for the communities that you work with?
Okay, so I will pose here two, three data. Like whenever we do Google on the aquaculture in India potential, the first line always come India is second in world, and we all feel so proud of it. But the difference between the first and second is like more than 60% gap productivity. So so there is nothing to feel very proud of, and the lot of data which comes like we are exporting 40,000 CR of fishes per year. These are all data from the marine fisheries. Because as per the government rule, whatever export you do, data has to be taken properly. So you know the data, what is happening in the export line, but what is happening in the domestic market, no one knows. But the second fact is uh, only 30% fish production comes from marine area. 70% comes from the freshwater. And there is no export data, and hardly export is done in freshwater except prawns. So most of those rohu katla kind of fishes are not exported. It's all domestically consumed. So whatever is, you can easily think, whatever is the India's 60-65% production is consumed locally. So that if you multiply that by the economics, it's become the very huge multi-billion-dollar kind of business in the rural area. Uh, so that was the thing, but there is also a few fact like uh, in except the urban consumer who likes like boneless and the big fishes with less bone, and the rural consumers, they want to have the entire full fish, and they don't go by 1 kg size or 2 kg size preference wise, like 200-300 gram of fish is a good consumable size. Even in the Bengal, if you go, people first buy like 200-300 gram fishes. Like everyone at the household need one full fish, not the small chunk of fishes. So in that way, there is a huge scope for productivity. And even the water bodies in drought prone area that has a water of 6 month or 7 month post monsoon, means only the monsoon based water bodies, that is more than enough to produce 500 gram of fishes. So, the romanticism, and when we do this calculation Excel sheet, the 1 kg of fishes, the moment we make 1 kg of fish in Excel sheet, you means you are avoiding all 50% of water body. So the first thing what we do is demystification of this kind of idea, and visiting the local market, heart, that gives a lot of boost up to local farmer. This is possible. Then advisory, we found it's a really a very tough task, totally relying on the conventional advisory or the hand-holding system like government department or KVK, because their infrastructure and human resources is very limited. So even in this Maharashtra program, we made an idea of making this local people as a resource person, train them properly. It takes 1-2 years, but yeah, they become a very good resource person to extend the knowledge part, demand generation. They help much better than the conventional uh, experts. So when we started doing it that way, it was going on well, and then the COVID came, and the entire uh, human face-to-face interaction become very difficult. So we have to stop our lot of program in state like Andhra Pradesh, Odisha that time. But that gave us a opportunity to test the idea of aqua school. So now our model is it's a threefold model. We set up a proper school with all the infrastructure facility. We are very high technology, right? Like recirculatory aquaculture, ornamental fishes, or biofloc. Everything is hatchery. Everything is provided as a physical asset where people can do the hand-hold training. And once people are trained, the farmers are trained, and they go to do their field work or they start their farming, the real challenge starts after that. In theory, it's very easy to cover everything in one day, but in practical, everything becomes very difficult. So at the time of difficulty, there was no scope to go and attend the next level of advisory. So aqua school becomes very handy because everything is within their rural area. And after knowledge generation, even if you say people like during this winter time, you have to apply X and Y medicine or practices, it's not available. So where they will buy? So for those support, we have a aqua, all the input, the quality input, that kind of supply system next to the aqua school where people can buy all those things, and this become the entrepreneur model. People can earn out of it this also. And even for selling the fishes or buying feed which is very expensive, or investing in any new technology, even to correct their pond bund if it is broken, they need immediate support of like and very small support, 20,000, 30,000 kind of thing. For women vendor, we found like going for the ice box or the ice and daily purchasing in the wholesale market. Every day they need 10,000 rupees of cash in hand. So sometimes this become very difficult. Where this aquafund kind of model is really very helpful to provide people like the financial capacity, the access to credit, empower them to immediately practice the new technology, new habits. So this is the entire chain. It goes from the aqua school up to the aqua credit or aqua fund kind of thing in a cycle. And post, we have not done earlier, but the moment this productivity is enhanced a lot, the market connect becomes a crucial part. And no one waits for the entire 1 year cycle. If there is a family need, they have to sell it immediately. So with that part, now we are implementing this wherever there is a cluster of farmer, a kind of cold storage and supply chain facility, so that the farmers can immediately access the market connect also. So that part we are working in. So a lot of thing has to be done to end, yeah, but it's a start. And for risk thing, as you mentioned, so there is the risk related to technology and the timely application. So I will give you one example. Like we were doing a very small pilot in Gujarat, Dang area, which is again a very difficult part and travel dominated. First time people are doing fishery. And the moment this winter is started, we came to know like fishes are dying. Like winter is a very difficult time for fishes to survive. uh, and there were a lot of complaint was coming, send us medicine. So and medicine sending those medicine was it was also very it was taking time, 2 3 day time. So we looking at the photograph video, we provided few advisory, very common advisory which is locally available, and there the mortality of those fishes are stopped, completely stopped. So this is how we see like de-risking in the practice first, then the market comes very much later where the supply chain support is needed. And thankfully nowadays lot of urban fish supply chain company like Lycius, fresh to home, that's available, but they need everything in bulk and regular supply. So that kind of partnership is possible wherever there is a like cluster of 400 500 farmers are available to do practice, and then the regular supply is ensured. So that has to be done, but yeah, it is in the task list next year.
Cool. Tell us about your organization. How big is the team? Which states do you all work in? Because I understand if this kind of an end-to-end hand-holding is being given
Mm.
to the communities, how do you do this? Please walk us through the operations a little and the team.
So okay, I will just share sharing is, I think, yeah, share is finished there. I'll just share one slide. So this is our basically the clientele, the farmer with whom we work. So if in the circle, if you look at, uh, so we work with these individual farmers first. Uh, there are two segments. One is the farmer segment, where we work largely with the small marginal fish farmers who are the first generation farmer. So training and handholding support through aqua school, everything is must for these farmers. And then the second one comes the capture fishery, means those who are working in big reservoir dam, uh, where the cooperative is functional, like that kind of ecosystem. And then the farmers collective, where they are little much advanced, and they can raise, means for them we can raise resources from government scheme, so for infrastructure and supply chain development. So that's the at the farmer end. And for enterprise segment, this has started for last 2 years, where we work with the fish vendors, then the micro entrepreneurs, those who are operating nursery, hatchery, or the local transport system, and then the large farmer who are doing all big investment infrastructure like recirculatory aquaculture or biofloc. So with these two segments we work, and we had worked in up to Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, but at this moment we are concentrated majorly in Bihar, and then in Telangana we are starting very soon Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. So this is the area where we work, but as a new strategy, we want to focus in northern India and eastern part of India. These two territory holds nearly more than 60% of water body of India, freshwater area, with the very good consumer base like Northeast, Bengal, Orissa. So Orissa also we recently started. We got a support from uh, Ministry of Housing to test mini recirculatory aquaculture system is useful even for the urban aquaculture. So that is a new space now we are starting, urban aquaculture, where the farmers they will do using their infrastructure and everything in uh, and this is a kind of our solution, as I was saying. So this is the aqua school. If you look at the visually, very small setup, but with all the technology within the village, where farmers, women, anyone can walk through and learn the process. Then the aquafund is also one of the technology based solution. This to link all the supply chain actors within the community, this aquaeco app has came up. We are testing it in Bihar. Once this got rolled on, then we can scale up this model to other part of the state. Uh, in terms of technology solution, uh, this is the new technology we started, green recirculatory aquaculture system. I will walk through this model. This RAS model is basically, it is using the recirculating your entire mm, uh, water again to fish cultivation. Basically, this technology came from Israel and scaled up in many part of world. So instead of pond here in this plastic lining tank, people do the uh, fish farming. Lot of aeration, water recirculation system is all model there. This is not a very new technology. It is there, but it was very expensive. We our dream was to make it within 1 lakh rupees, and that is what we have done. At present, we are installing 120 such unit in Alirajpur, which is again one of the poorest district in India, next to Jhabua in Madhya Pradesh. And all the 120 user are women, tribal women. So this kind of model can be, so it's a backyard model. You can do in your homestead land or near the farm, wherever the water is available, with the pumping or with the pond, very closer to homestead land, so that the women, old age people, anyone can look for this farming system. And then even if a farmer is having pond, how to intensify the production system? We went for this mini cage system, where it is a floating model. One can install over their pond. So one can do, it's like making, and it's solar aerated. So the ammonia, oxygen, everything is controlled. Temperature is controlled. Very like, it's a 40,000 rupees model with 2 cage unit. And it's a double, like making your building as a double story building. So number of farming practice farmer can do, they can store 3-4 types of different fish variety, because harvesting is a challenge for normal fish farmer. Harvesting is a very skilled activity, only practiced by the traditional fishing community, and it's very expensive. And the farmers has to rely, they have to be dependent. So reduce, again, this is a risk. To reduce those risks, now this kind of model where harvesting is very easy, one can easily hand pick the fishes. We started this model, and now we are scaling up this technology as a commercial product in rural area and urban area. So this mini areas could be a kind of, think of like a restaurant is having it, and then consumer are selecting their fishes for their cooking. So that's the idea, how we can leverage this kind of technology properly, and then intensify the fish production in different way, in different geography.
Amazing. So, Neelkant, if you can walk us through the need for credit in this. And the second
Yeah.
thing that you mentioned was most of the smallholder aqua farmers
Yes.
are first generation,
Hmm.
uh, they're getting into this for the first time. So, did you face any challenges or in terms of them taking this up as a livelihood activity and the role of credit? If you can answer these two, that'll be great.
So it's very challenging first to motivate someone to become first timer farmer. Uh, Due to penetration of internet and YouTube channels, so many video, everyone think like installing one unit will make them like crorepati within 1 day, but it does. Machine and system is only a facilitating environment, they create environment, they do not do farming. And farming के लिए जो है ना, वो हाथ गंदा करना पड़ता है. Mostly young age generation are not ready for that. uh, they see like fishes are sold 200 rupees a kg, that motivate them, but doing farming, uh, it's very difficult. So that is one realization. And whereas we have seen like women or SHG women member, though there is a aspiration to earn even just 5,000 per month more, they are really the fast adopter of system. Not only the women, even in the male group like tribals or the people uh, where the reverse migration happened post COVID, they are very much inclined to adopt and do hard work for their livelihood. So this selection of the right people is really a tough challenge, and this kind of thing only comes through experience. So even in our team member, as you said, our team is very small. At this moment we are hardly 26 27 people uh, at all the level if we add everyone. So the team has to do multiple work. They have to do also the research, policy advocacy, meeting the donors, investor, and also do the farming training. So there is a in that way, looking at the geographical spread, our team is at this point very small. The second thing is those who are totally new, it becomes very difficult for them to really target the right community members. Then even within the team also, hand holding becomes a tough challenge. So it's a like double sword kind of challenge for the scaling up, from the scaling up perspective. Third challenge comes from the philanthropy. The investor or the donor, they don't want to give time. Means if it is a program of 1 year, so it has to be successful within 1 year. Whatever may be the challenge at the community level, that kind of realization comes very later. And looking at the climate change, there could be drought, there could be monsoon failure or flood, or the seed failure, because you are dependent on the seed supplier. Anything can go wrong. So those are the challenges, at the very high level challenges. And in all those things, if I see, Smita, credit becomes one of the really big challenge. Like we personally feel, even a farmer with a small land area where he's doing the fish farming, uh, if he has to do the seed stocking, right time seed stocking of only 5,000 number, then even to buy that 5,000 number, he has to travel Kolkata or big city, like where seed is available. So in Excel seed price will be like 5,000 into 1 rupees, but actual cost, transaction cost is much more higher. Even for the feed supply. So for a farmer, maybe only one bag quantity of 40 kg is more than enough. But no, dealer will provide only 1 kg. So we tested this. We personally, we took a dealership of one feed company so that we can provide feed in time. But their demand is like 1 truck you have to buy at a time. So even for a social enterprise like us, buying 1 truck with 21 tons full load and paying them 12 lakh in one go, it becomes a huge, credit requirement as well as the challenge. So you will solve farmers trouble later on, but your trouble at your end is much more higher than the farmers. So at every end, we have seen like this credit plays a major role. And in banking system, the big trouble for farmer is, although there are a lot of government scheme, there is always a collateral word is there. And in fish farming, the trouble is every farmer may not have right over their land. So if it is a family land distributed with all the son and children's, grandchildren's later on, the common water body always remain a common. That is not distributed. And always we have seen in 90% cases, the ownership of pond is in the name of the grandparents. So none of the bank is ready to give loan. Second, even if you have right, they want to get the production data of last 2-3 years. There is no production data if you are first time adopter. So considering all those things, with this risk element, bank never support fishery based activity for the farmers and for the pond based activity. But for this big unit like RAS, biofloc, which looks as an industry, which looks like a very capital intensive, their support system is available. Yeah, so always we see like this kind of backyard. If you look, if you travel the Bengal and Orissa and northern part of Bihar, practically every household is having one backyard pond, but they cannot get any investment. And although there is a SHG penetration in many part, but SHG loan percentage is really it's really very high compared to normal bank or other financial system. So everyone doesn't feel to block money taking credit from SHG and wait for 8 months to get the production. It's easier for them to buy the goat or a hen and get the next production within 3 months. So that is also one challenge where members don't feel very comfortable to take loan from SHG for fishery. But once after 2-3 year of cycle, when they see the profitability, they are very comfortable. That is what we have seen in Maharashtra, where we were surprised. Even the community pond, where the leasing system is happening na, every year, panchayat go for the leasing right, and those who bid higher, the land, the pond becomes to them. So post our Umed work, Partha, you will be surprised. More than 30-40 SHG, they have paid 4 lakh, 5 lakh of leasing right to pond, because over the 4-5 year of hand holding support, they could realize on average they will be on into the profit margin. So, but only based on the 1 year data, it's very difficult.
Smita, there is a question.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So this is a question from Partha. He says, interesting to hear about first-time fish farmers. A question, what are the emerging challenges and opportunities in aquaculture as an option for farmers in the scenario of climate change?
So, Partha, we last 2-3 years, we have done a lot of groundwork related to this. And we realized this seed production is one of the best opportunity for Indian farmers, smallholders. Why we came to this conclusion? If you just delete West Bengal and some part of Eluru and other part of Andhra Pradesh, hardly there is seed production in India. So totally entire India depends on West Bengal or Andhra Pradesh for seed supply. Practically, maybe on pilot basis, like 4-5 unit you will find out in each state. But in terms of the functionality, their capacity realization is less than 20%. So seed production is a very 3-month activity where one can easily supply to another. So with a 2 acre of seed unit, one can easily support 100-200 farmers nearby. So everyone cannot become seed producer. So because it requires a discipline, it requires a nursing capacity. So everyone cannot do that part. So bringing a seed producer in a very high scale, large scale, could be really a climate support from adaptation support. If I give you the example of Maharashtra, so the government record says the IMC, the Rohu Katla kind of fishes, seed requirement in Maharashtra is nearly 60-70 crore per year. And production is the government record hardly 6-8 crore. And out of that, more than 60% is only in Vidarbha. So think of Sangli, Satara, Ahmednagar. Even when you travel Ahmednagar and Aurangabad area, every farmer is having very large plastic lining ponds. They are looking for the seed, but seed is not available. So recently we started a very small pilot in Bhor area of Pune with the philanthropy Rentry Foundation. Even for 9 farmers seed stocking, we needed only 6,000 seed, and we had to struggle 15 days to procure those seed. So that's the situation in Pune kind of city. So seed is one thing which cannot be addressed by government. It has to be done by the social investor, philanthropy, or creating a local network of entrepreneur. So that's one. And second is, at this moment, mostly if you look at the what kind of fishes to be reared or grown, mostly people go for tilapia, pangas, or rohu katla, because there is a regular market in that. But our realization is going for the other kind of fishes, like what we say indigenous fishes or desi machli, which is having a local biodiversity, local taste, and locally seed is available. Motivating farmers to adopt that is much more useful, because all those fishes are adaptable to local condition. And surprisingly, market demand wise, it is much more expensive than tilapia or pangas. So the fishes now we are concentrating in Bihar, and even in this our mini RAS, what we promote is like fishes like pavda, koi, desi mangur, or singhi kind of fishes, which is very hardy, air breathing, so they don't need a lot of water. And even 100 gram is marketable. So people relish even 100 gram of those fishes, small fishes, and price is like more than double the rohu katla. So going for adopting those model will be creating a new brand of local fishes. It is also having a commercial value, but yeah, in that way we can be less dependent on the existing commercial fishes or the market valued fishes. One of the trouble why I am bothered in this seed sector is at this moment Indian fishery sector, the moment there is a suppose a cross boundary between India and Bangladesh is completely seized, India's fishery sector will collapse in one day. 90% of our seed, what is sold in Bengal and many other places like high value seeds, it's all imported from Bangladesh, legally, illegally, whatever way, but we don't produce it. So the moment if any day if it goes wrong at international level, our farmer will not have seed. Same happens in the prawn sector. Most of the seeds what we import from the other country, we rear it, make it small to bigger size pieces and then supply to farmer. So focusing more and more on the seed for next 5 years is the only one way to establish and control the local production system. Otherwise, all those supply chain company will come, they will buy only the big fishes, cut it, and but it will not help the real farmers or the real local domestic market.
Thank you, Neelakanth. We have a question from Soumitra. Soumitra, you can please unmute yourself and ask.
Yes, thank you so much for this very insightful talk. I actually had two questions.
Yes,
The
Soumitra.
first one was related to your last comment about the absence of fish seed sources in India. So my question would be, what are the reasons why we don't have enough seed sources in India, and how, in your opinion, how can that be addressed? Maybe I can ask my second question after you have answered.
So in my understanding, the problem with seed sector in India is uh, government's apathy to create the infrastructure. So like it requires a hatchery, a proper hatchery, where the mother brooder, they will produce the eggs, and from eggs the smaller baby will be produced. So it requires a infrastructure and technical capacity, and somehow it was not addressed in the last 30-40 years when the investment was solely through the government. That time it was not addressed. Bengal has addressed it, Andhra has addressed it. That is why the seed was available, and it was very easier for the state government to procure from other states rather than build your own capacity. So even we see right now also in Jharkhand and in many part of other states, even the state government units, they procure seed from West Bengal. They find it very easy, send one vehicle and collect all, rather than develop their own capacity. So in the paper it is very good, we have stocked so much of pond with seed, but the flip side of this is you are giving business to a business enterprise, and they are very happy to earn money in 2 months. But what happens to produce more and more babies, they compromise with the brooder quality. So one brooder, mother brooder, is injected 2 times, 3 times, and then the poor quality of seed is. So you are having the seed, but yeah, of course the growth is compromised, and again the farmers are having loss. So one is this. Second thing, somehow in our education system, if you look at the all over India data, we will be hardly having 10 or 12, maximum 15 fishery college. That's all. And even most of the fishery university colleges, they don't have infrastructure where student can do the practical of seed. So in theory, everyone have learned it, but if you ask a student first timer, okay, take this injection and go and do this, they cannot perform it. So we have not developed a pool of technical human resources who can do it. Whereas in the poultry section, it was done very nicely. In dairy sector, it was done. And BIF has taken a lot of load, creating this artificial insemination unit across villages. So if you look at the BIF model, they have created this artificial unit within the village. Like as now we started thinking in the aqua school, within the village unit, those facility has to be available. But in fishery, those systems were not developed. And it takes another thing is the management of mother fish, like brooder, who will produce the eggs. It takes 3 years of life. At least they should be 3 years matured. And before getting the eggs, 3 years you have to only feed mother. Then only 4th year they will start producing baby, the quality baby. So that kind of the life cycle of a hatchery, good quality hatchery, is at least 3 year preparation and then the actual implementation. Whereas in what happened in all those, if you look at all those DPR or the entrepreneur who get the support for establishing hatchery, from the first year they want to do the business. Like that is how the projection is made. First year we will produce so much of baby, second year so much. So from first year they have to injection unnecessary and produce the babies. So you are basically ruining the entire system based on the DPR. I believe the DPR of any DPR of hatchery, the production system should be projected only after the 3 years. The first 3 years is only the investment. So we do all those practical mistakes. That is how we couldn't, develop our capacity in seed production.
Yeah, Samita, you can ask a second question, please.
Yeah, no, thanks. This is very insightful to know, and I hope that as Jaljeevika progresses, you can make more efforts towards, actually starting seed sources in different states to complement the fisheries that are being sprung up. So thanks for that information.
Thank you,
And the second question was about the fraction of borrowers who, new borrowers and new fishery starters who then become self-sufficient. So they don't need to take loans from, let's say, intermediaries like Rangde, but can continue and grow their business on their own. So typically, what is this conversion fraction?
So we have just started our relationship and pilot. So we are doing with this 50 borrowers and continuously following up on weekly basis how they are using these resources. Sometimes people are delayed, like this year it happened continuously in 1 month 3 festival. So there was no reason to push the people. But we see like maximum if a person is from the producer segment, those who are doing the production kind of borrower, 2 year is a good cycle when they can become self-sufficient, and from their saving they can scale up their enterprise. So and second is those who are into the vendor or the marketing, 6 months is more than enough for them to jump and go to the new technology. This is one part. Second part is Soumitra, even if when we say self-sufficient, we realize like making it a status quo, like whatever you are doing now, that will be continued. But again, to graduate to the next level and next level, always there will be some requirement to invest in some other kind of advanced technology. So credit will be always, there will be a requirement for an entrepreneur. All the big corporate, they also take the credit, but to advance their present business status, to maintain status quo for farmer, for the producer, 2 year cycle, like 2 crop cycle is more than enough, and for the business entity people 6 months is sufficient.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sumitra.
Okay, we have, I think, one more question from Partha, and then Smita, you can take a call on the number of questions we want to take next. Partha, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks so much for the very interesting talk, Neelakanth. And always a pleasure to listen to to you. And so actually, my question was that, see, in this year, in general, has been very difficult for, in fact, last 2-3 years itself has been very difficult for farmers because of unseasonal rains. And then, in this year, even in fact, we're seeing in some places it's excess rainfall. Some places it has been deficit rainfall and so on. So how has it been generally for fish farmers across the country, especially in the regions where Jaljeevika has been working?
So in Bihar, it was delayed, but yeah, suddenly by the month of September, all the ponds are full. So when we say deficit rainfall, perhaps we think of the monsoon kind of what is required for the crop cycle. But overall, if we look at the rainfall, uh, maybe the climate variability is now considering that way. This year we didn't saw any severe drought in any region. So of course the paddy was not grown in the even in the Kosi belt of Bihar or Gandak belt of Bihar, Darbhanga, but yeah, ponds are full. So that's one thing. Second thing is even in the area like Bundelkhand, rain suddenly came in the month of late August, September, and ponds are full. So in terms of the seed stocking now, season is extended, but yeah, people are getting the fishes. So the fish farming thing is happening. Again, here comes the issue of seed availability, because in the Bengal, what has happened due to temperature, moisture, humidity, everything, most of the seed production happens during the month of April to June. So and in Bihar or Madhya Pradesh, if rain is happening in October, so for where to source the seed is again a challenge. So again we need a separate network of seed producer or grower who can stock seed and keep it alive for the till November. uh, uh, till last October also we have seen rains in many part of Bihar and many other places. So that is also one of the reason how we can de-risk if we made available the seeds.
Okay, thank you, Neelakanth. Smita, over to you.
I don't have any more questions,
Yeah.
but yeah, really, we've started with a small pilot, as Neelkanth mentioned, and we're very excited about working with you. Any more questions from anyone else here? Would love to, take this.
Okay, there's a message from Sonal. Very basic question. She says, is there a commercial business case way to motivate farmers to switch from crops like sugarcane towards aquaculture, aquatic culture?
A lot of we are very soon going to publish those stories. If I Partha visits those area regularly, Aurangabad, where the lot of farmers are pomegranate, and they have a horticulture farmer, Mosambi and everything. And during the season, the harvest season, we see like farmers stop sending harvester to the crop because it's so costly. you know Plugging out the horticulture crop is very costly than cultivation. And then the irrigation system, maintaining it, making it alive for the entire year, this is all very costly. And then at the time of harvesting, suddenly the crop, the price, the market price, it dips down. So that's the challenge now horticulture farmer is also facing. Fortunately, what has happened in the horticulture mission, every such farmer has received a farm pond, plastic lining, proper coated, where even in the drought area the water doesn't go seepage, it doesn't happen. So water is protected. Now adding those farmer into fish farming is a really good proposition. When we before COVID, we had done a small work in Aurangabad, and initially there was hardly 20-30 farmer who has adopted this model. But once the crop came, and looking at other farmer, we saw a flood of farmers who started asking for the seed. And all those farmers mostly in that area, they are vegetarian, so they don't eat fishes, but they are growing fishes to supplement their crop. Even in the Sangli, which is supposed to be drought area, and lot of farmer in Bedag and all those blocks, they are cultivating uh, angur. It's a belt of those grapes area of Sangli area. Everyone is having a pond. We had done only 2-3 round of training with those farmers, and thankfully we could identify one entrepreneur farmer, motivated them. Now he has installed hatchery. He is supplying seed to everyone. He started selling live fish in the Sangli market. Like tilapia in Bangalore would be how much? 120 rupees a kg maximum, with Lycius 150 rupees a kg. But in Sangli, live tilapia he is selling 250 rupees a kg. So, those kind of, there are a lot of experiences we see, but of course, identifying the right, people who will drive this process, that's more important than only training or hand-holding support. But this is happening in many part of Maharashtra.
Wonderful. So if anyone else has a question, this is.
I had a question. Can
Yes,
I just?
Piyush,
Yes,
please.
please.
Just wanted to know from this fund, the Jaljeevika fund,
Yeah.
the amounts to been given to those farmers. What percentage would be farmers who are supplementing their income with aquatic activities, and what percentage, or are there any who are just aqua farmers and they don't do anything else?
So, so every farmer is having pond plus land. So of course there is agriculture component is also there.
It's so basically it's a supplemental
It's
activity.
a supplemental activity.
Right.
But in our portfolio of 50 farmer, there are 10-12 women vendors. They don't have land. Mostly they are having a very small land patch or practically landless. They go and do the fish farming from river or the stream, or their family member go, and they are basically the seller. So those women vendors are really impacted a lot. And now as a looking at, and they are the one who are regular in paying repayment. So the farmers are having a trouble in terms of 4 days, 5 days, but because their income is on the regular basis, so they don't delay. And now what, as a looking at this experience, we are thinking to develop the entire women fish vendors collective, a federation. And in future, if we can provide one common cold storage or vehicle where they can all transport their fishes to big market. So that is what is the next program in Bihar. We are thinking post Rang De initiative, where we can save productive time of each woman fish vendor. Instead of selling 50 kg, everyone sitting in the harsh weather and monsoon time day long, coming back to in the evening, if they can collectivize entire their produce and then sell in the market, then we can generate another source of employment, another productive activity with those women fish vendor. So that is what we are really thinking. Let's develop a collective of these fish vendors. We will certainly announce and share with all of you how we have progressed in that. At this moment, we are scouting what is the best possible cold storage system, less costly for, so that they can afford it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Piyush. Anyone else wants to ask a question, or we will wrap up this session?
Yeah, I just had one last question.
Sure.
See, when we are looking at the main category of rural fish farmers, right, especially those who are trying to get into fishing. So is it like the rural unemployed youth, or is it SHG women, or existing farmers who are looking to diversify? So who are the people in rural areas who are interested and getting into fish farming?
So there is a traditional fishing community, Partha, and sorry, I forgot to show. I would have shown you the cluster. So like recently, what we did, one exercise, we did the satellite mapping of all the water bodies. Suppose in Purnia district, where we are operating a lot, and we got the seasonality of their where the water is there, in which blocks more number of seasonal or perennial water is there. And we found all the river belt area, wherever river is flowing. Next to that 4-5 kilometer, the fishing community, they are most poor because they don't have land. All their lands are gone to the flood earlier. and their family members is totally dependent on day-to-day fish catch from river. So they become our primary, customer now. How to help them, engage with them in the marketing facility, and these seasonal ponds farmer, they are having mostly the family-owned water bodies. So for them, it's a complementary activity at this moment. Maybe after 2-3 cycle, they will also realize and become the full-fledged fish farmer. But the people, those who are having the perennial, their aspiration is really very high to become a full-fledged fish farmer. And this time when I was in village, nearly for 2 weeks, I found even the people from the Brahmin community and the high caste community, if they are having pond, they are not feeling ashamed to do the fish farming. They were so open to come to me, discuss about the different, nuances and opportunity. And they also have investment capacity to go for the next level. So those are the totally different cadre of members, those who are really willing to scale up. But yeah, more than credit, their requirement is the technology, knowledge, leveraging the market linkages.
Okay, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for pitching in with such fantastic questions. Thank you, Neelakanth ji, for joining us today and sharing all your insights about Jaljeevika, the Rangde partnership. And thank you, everyone who joined in for this session. Please follow us on social media and stay tuned for more of our community events. We will make sure to get these to you at least twice a month going forward. The next event you can look forward to is an open house with Smita and Ram, which will be on the 19th of November. You can ask them anything about social investing, Rangde, any of your concerns will be answered in that open house. So do look forward to that. And once again, a big thank you from all of us at Rangde for joining us. The recording will be up on our YouTube shortly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.